Welcome to another episode of Sports After Dark with David and Kayla. I wish I could say it's dark, but it's actually morning on this day that we're recording. I am trying to wipe the crust out of my eyes. I'm not sure how you're doing, Kayla, but hey, we're here.
Got my coffee, and we're
there
gonna
you go. We are ready to kick this thing off. Before we get started with today's show, guys, make sure you like and comment. We're going to start putting out more of our segments throughout the week, especially now that college football and the NFL start kicking off this upcoming weekend. Woo, woo! But it's very stressful in my household right now. And the reason being is because I am about to – I have my first draft tomorrow for one of my leagues. And then next week on my birthday – September 1st, I have the Money League draft. So I draft on my birthday. I learned I am in the middle of the pack. Out of 12 teams, I'm picking 7th.
I don't know what you want me to tell that. Everybody's like, football is a team game. Okay, it's not a team game. Okay, I did my part. All right, I put in a great game plan. I mean, these players, they're horrible.
So I'm in that awkward. I can get it. I can fall. I get a potential some big names, but I got to be really strategic, and I just got to know what I'm doing.
They're not gonna rook us.
So that's the league that's stressing me up. But before we get to all the stuff that's going on in fantasy football, what's going on with you, Kayla?
It is my 10-year high school reunion weekend.
Oh God, how do you feel? How do you feel about that?
Happy to be alive, but also where did 10 years go?
Yeah.
So yeah, I have. It's not as big as we originally planned it to be, but we're still going to the Orioles game tonight, and we're gonna hang out a little bit beforehand. Tomorrow, the state fair, and just it's kind of laid back. But I'm looking forward to it.
Nah, good vibes all the way. No, I think what's crazy for me is maybe I'm telling my age here, but in another year, I would have been out of college for 10 years.
Damn!
Oh.
I graduated 2017. 2027 is creeping on up there for me. So
yeah.
Now
you're only 2 years older than me.
Well, yeah, but it's just like, dang, I stopped really knowing people who went to my college like 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. And now I know nobody, and everybody's like sending me invites for like, oh, that's 10 years. Come on back. We're doing this. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's been 10 years already.
Who are you?
Yeah. I mean, I'm still sort of semi-young. I don't know if I'm Unc. I don't know if I'm Big Bro. It's just crazy. I think I'm having that kind of debate in my head. Like, am I Unc or am I Big Bro? Everybody's like, oh, no, you Unc. I'm like, bro, 30, 31. I'm turning 31 in a couple of guys. But I'm sitting here like, I don't feel like I'm that old.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
You know what I mean? I'm still athletic. I can still get after it in the gym. I don't know. That's about battling with myself internally. But picking tomorrow. I'm gonna tell you guys, I don't know yet. It's like you have a plan until you get punched in the mouth, right?
Yeah.
I have in my head, I've had like over 15 mock drafts. I've watched the preseason as much as I can humanly possible. It's kind of hard because starters aren't going to play like that unless they're rookies. Mm-hmm. So I'm going off of last year's reputation. I'm going off of contract years. I'm going off of quality, right? But I think this one's kind of going to be the tune-up one because this is the WBAL Photog and Reporter League. So it's only 8 of us. So, it's 9 people in all. So it's easier to kind of, pick versus my 12 league one, which is paid and there's money on the line and everybody's already trolling already in the group chat. My commissioner stinks. He's like, oh yeah. So basically, if you don't win, we have a custom-made jacket that says that you're a loser, and you have to wear that for 6 months and do a video saying how much you're a loser. And yeah, so we're at that point in the season. But I think for me, it's just like I'm going to treat tomorrow as a tune-up to next week because it's going to be a little bit more stressful. What about you, Kate?
Yeah. So I guess I technically have my first draft tomorrow at noon, but I will not be there. So I set my rankings based on the spreadsheet that I did. I only found out that the draft was going to be at noon tomorrow, like earlier this week. And I was like, well, I didn't get any input. So I have prior obligations. But I'm picking 10th in that one. Out of 10, so I'll get the double pick, which is cool. And then I will when is my next one? Thursday is my keeper league. And I'm also picking 10th because I won last year and it was just order of finish. Unless you won the loser's bracket, then you got the first pick. But talking about trolling, I was like, last year I told you all to not let me pick 10th because I was going to beat you all. And so that happened. And I was like, you guys messed up and let me pick 10th again. And, it's the keeper league, so you can keep 4 people. And like 3 hours before those locked earlier this week in the group chat, I put for $200, I'll unlock Jamar Chase.
You need to leave. Oh my God, you're such a troll for that. Oh my Jesus.
And my cousin was like, "Don't tempt me." Like literally replied that instantly, and I was like, $200 sounds kind of nice.
Ransom, man. Yeah.
And then on the flip side, the draft that I have the next Friday and then the night before the season, I'm picking 1 in my home league and then 2. So I'm like at the opposite ends of the spectrum here. So either those teams will be good because they'll be similar, or they'll be bad because they'll be similar.
I think we need to do like a for hire for you. You need like a fantasy football league assistant to keep up with like all of your all of the drafts, as well as who's playing next week, who's out. So officially out there, YouTube land, anybody's watching us. Like, if you are looking for a full-time job, I think how many leagues are you in this year? 5, 6?
5.
Okay, yeah. So if you are good with spreadsheets and you are consistent with a text or just reminders like, hey, this player might be injured in this league, you might want to replace, please reach out to Kayla on the Twitter, on her Instagram, because she's going to need a lot of help. I'm doing 2, and I'm like, I got to set up reminders to set my team up, because I just feel like there's not much of a break during the week anymore, because it's like these teams play on Thursday, then they have Monday Night Football. It's like Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Friday they play some games on the holiday now. It's like they play all week. Okay. It's like it's turning into the NBA. It's literally like, oh, we have a game today. What? It's Tuesday. But yeah, it's Christmas.
It's Tuesday.
It's the lineup. I'm like, what do we okay. So a lot going on there. And between me and Kayla, we got a lot to do. I'll let you know how the drafts go for me. I will have completed one of mine tomorrow evening at 7. And then I have another one next week on my birthday. So we'll follow up and I'll let you guys know how it goes. So we'll leave that there. I want to go to our next segment. It's a new segment. It's called House of Divisions. I kind of got this off a play of like, not the horror games. House of Dragons.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
I never watched that show, but
I never did either. But you know what? I sat and I watched a season and I said, I actually see the hype. I just didn't want to watch it when everybody else was watching it, because I was like, yeah, you guys leak too much stuff. I'm always on Twitter. I'm always on Instagram, so I don't want to miss, get something leaked from the episode. So I was like, I'm gonna wait until after the hype died down, and then I'm gonna look at it. But essentially, we're gonna be talking about divisions and our takes and our hot takes, what it looks like, right? We're going to talk AFC East and NFC East this episode. So we're going to be talking about, who our predicted winner are, offensive players to watch, defensive players to watch, who's projected to be in the basement. 4 teams, not everybody can win. Injuries happen, things that were supposed to gel may not gel, players that are supposed to take that next step, maybe decline. Things happen. It's football. It's the NFL. So we're really excited about this segment. I've been doing a lot of homework. We prepared this for you guys really a couple weeks ago, but we're like, now's a good time to kind of roll these out. So over the next 3 episodes, you guys will be hearing all the divisions right before we get into league, perhaps maybe into week 1, but nobody plays a divisional game. At least I got to look. Maybe so. But, nobody plays important games in week 1, at least towards the standings as of yet. And if they do, it's like you got time to kind of bounce back if you lose that first week. So as I said, we're gonna jump out here with the AFC East. Okay, got the Bills, got the Dolphins, got the Jets, got the Patriots. I think clearly, for me and my predicted winner this year, I'm going to go obviously the Bills. I mean, I'm not saying because of HBO Hard Knocks, but I just feel like they're the team to beat, right? And they have shown that they can get there consistently, all because of one Josh Allen. And as that team goes, as Josh Allen goes. So that's my thing. That's my hot take.
Yeah,
hot take, but
No, it's not a hot take, but it's definitely Buffalo's division to lose. They've won the title the last 5 years, including going on a run when they were 500 towards the end of the year to knock Miami into a wild card spot and made them go to Kansas City, and it was just all downhill after that. But I think what's interesting is that, James Cook had a good season last year, but it's only his first good NFL season where it stands out. And I know he's looking for a new contract, but he's not a big name running back. And you look at their wide receiver corps, and nobody stands out there. So it really does focus around Josh Allen and the way that the ball is distributed, which is really frustrating if you're, Miami, for example, because, you have Tyreek Hill, you have Jalen Waddle, you have the up-and-coming Devon A-Chain, and you have the names that everybody knows. I know A-Chain more than I know Cook, for example. Maybe that's bad because he's Dalvin Cook's brother, but anyway, you get the point. There are teams that have these big names in the division, but they're just kind of stuck in the middle. The Jets have been mediocre for so long. I don't think Justin Fields is going to be the answer, but they have Breece Hall, they have Garrett Wilson, they have these weapons on offense too. And if you're looking at it on paper, Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman don't scare me in the slightest. So just the success that Buffalo has is frustrating. It's like, how do you crack the code? At any given week, anybody's going to be the leading receiver or the leading rusher. And because they're so dynamic and they don't need just one person to stick out, they've been successful. And it's like, how do you develop and build your team off of that? And obviously it's not something that the Dolphins, Jets, or Patriots have been able to figure out.
Yeah, no, I think just an overview of this entire division, I think the Bills are the Bills. I mean, they have established a culture up there. No matter who plays a down for them, they seem to just come in there and really be able to kind of get the best out of them. So I think it's just a place where you go. It's kind of reminds me of New England and what they were for many years, right? Bill Belichick never had the big name wide receivers outside of Randy Moss, and Welker, of course, in the slot. But he was able to just figure it out, offensively. You just kind of, stick and play. And I think that's where the Bills are right now. They're just a team that's really built off of Josh Allen, and that is his team through and through. And then nobody wants to go up there in 9 feet of snow and play a football game in December and November. So it's just if you don't win the division, it's like you're playing in a cold area at some point in the year, and it's just not really a good look. For the Jets and the Patriots, I think they're kind of on the same tier to me. And I think they're kind of those teams that are trying to find answers, right? You're trying to figure out if Drake May is the answer. You're trying to figure out if Justin Fields the answer. But, and you have these prolific defense and these kind of tough-nosed coaches, right, that are all about defense, all about the trenches, but you don't know what you're getting from your head man at under center. So that's going to be something to watch for. Then for Miami, I think they can be sneaky good. I mean, I really do. I think at face value, you look at what they did in the offseason between the Steelers and our trade, right? And you look what are they doing? But you look at their defense, what they got back. Minka is a fantastic player. He's going to immediately add, some discipline to the middle of the field and back end. And then I just like what they did on offense, but I think it's just predicated on if Tua can take that next step, right? And if, we've been saying that for a couple of years, but I just think it's do or die now. It's hey, if he doesn't do it, then you have to look at, next year's draft and seeing if you need to address that position and maybe, saying, hey, Tua, this now or never, or we got your replacement. You hate this, to say that because I think Tua is a really good quarterback, but, between the concussions and obviously just the letdowns in big games, you kind of just get frustrated. I don't know how you feel personally, but you're just okay, kid, are you going to take the next step? It's now or never. We've been waiting for 4 years now. And it's we're ready for some playoff wins. We're ready to take that next step. So I think for him, it's just about showing that he is a quarterback that can at least be the top 10 good and at least can get you to the playoffs and win a playoff game for Tua to kind of get to that next step. But I think they got a sneaky good team to do it. So we're going to break down some offensive players. I already talked about. Go ahead. What's up?
Sorry. I just wanted
Very
to
good.
jump in and say that, you're only as good as the players you have on the field. So with Tua's concussion history,
Yeah.
he's severely limiting, what an offense can do. They do
Yeah.
have Zach Wilson as a backup, but he has jumped around. They drafted Quinn Ewers, who is going to take a little bit of time to adjust to the NFL level. But, you in multiple seasons now, you've seen the drastic difference between when Tua is under center and when it's somebody else. And there are a lot of players that have talked to that too. But I do find it interesting that the Patriots, who went 4-13 last year, have the second best odds to win the division over the Dolphins and the Jets behind the Bills. They have the NFL's easiest schedule this year, which I think definitely plays into a little bit of that. I like what I saw from Drake May towards the end of the season. I think, their backfield got better with Travion Henderson. We'll see just how much he will impact the game, I would say, by week 4. And, they have Stephon Diggs, who may not be ready for the beginning of the season, but I don't necessarily think they need it. Hunter Henry is a sneaky not only fantasy tight end, but just tight end in general, with the way that he sees the field, the routes that he successfully runs, and the red zone targets that he gets. So I think maybe a lot of questions are on New England's defense. Because while we're at a wait and see game for the Patriots offense, they have a lot of things working for them that could make them, a better than 500 team. They could sneak in with the last wild card. I mean, Denver did last year. So I think that's interesting.
You pretty much went right into it. I mean, offensively, right? My player this year to watch is going to be Drake May, right? I say Drake May because you saw what he could be in the last stretch of the season. You got a new head coach that, at the end of the day, when it comes to what he's all about, he's all about toughness. They're going to want to run the ball. And then they got Mike McDaniels back calling the play calls. So I think it's the best situation for Drake May to come in there and be under a Patriot-like system that was similar to Bill Belichick, but just in its own kind of flair with this new regime that's over the Patriots. I think for him, seeming that his schedule is not hard. This is a year that could be a breakout year for Drake May. I truly do believe that, especially with having a target like Stephon Diggs to throw to, as you greatly highlighted, because at the end of the day, it's a division that is right there. I mean, I think you have the Bills, but there is a path to get to the wild card if you can play good ball at the right time. And I think Drake May and the Patriots are set up to do that. But all of the pressure is on Drake May to take that next step forward. And that man cannot go out there and start slow. He has to take command. And this year he has to be a leader, and he has to show that, hey, look, I know it is hard to fill in shoes like Tom Brady. He got a statue. He made a funny he had a funny quote about his statue saying that, and this is a statue now that the Jets fans can throw their beers at, particularly in the second quarter when they're losing. Huge shoes to come behind. But I just think that Drake May needs to just be Drake May. I just think that the Patriot fans, look, you guys had a unicorn for a long time. And Drake May, don't put him in the Tom Brady category yet, Tom Brady or bust, but just say, hey, if this kid can get you to the playoffs this year, that is a successful step forward, seeming that you guys haven't been there in some time since Tom Brady and Bill Belichick broke up, and Bill Belichick's with UNC, and Tom's doing retirement and is partial owner of the Raiders. So I am looking forward to the journey that is Drake May this year. I think he has the opportunity to walk into that top 10 this year quarterbacks if everything works out. And I think he could possibly, the floor is he could be bottom of the league bad. So this thing could go really good, or it could be a train wreck right away. And I don't think that this new coaching staff is going to wait around to find that answer. So I think if he stinks up the joint early with this type of schedule, I think you could see him bench probably by week 7 or week 8. So it's do or die for him.
Yeah, man, I don't even know who the backup in New England.
Me neither. That's why that man is. I'm just like, but
I was going to make
look
a
it up real
comment.
quick. No, we can look. I can tell you real quick. Hold
I know.
on. We could
I know.
definitely
I'm
find
trying.
out.
I got that depth chart.
All right.
Website
So behind
open and everything.
Behind Drake May is Joshua Dobbs. So yeah,
Well, it's not
that's why
Nathan
I'm
Peterman.
no, yeah. So it's just kind of like do or die for him. I mean, if they don't, then they're pretty much trying to pick high in the draft next year. So, but
Yeah. And they did this year. They got a really good offensive lineman, so
yep.
I'm excited to see him, but also not because they're in my division and like I would like to see Drake May be terrible. But my heart and my gut tells me that's just not how it's going to be. But for me, I'm looking at Justin Fields. He's on his third team, and he had so much hype, just 2 seasons ago with going to be finishing as a top 10 quarterback, and just I don't know where analysts made that jump from. I think somebody in the media did, and then everybody just jumped on the bandwagon and crashed out. When you think of Justin Fields, you don't think of a lot of passing success. You think of how much he runs. So that is going to hinder, I think, the play style of the Jets offense. But I also am interested to see if it's even going to work because they have a new offensive coordinator, Tanner Engstrand, and he only has play calling experience in the XFL and the FCS. So it's going to be his first time, and he's working with somebody who passing is not necessarily his forte. You got some egos on the Jets that are going to be wanting to feed the ball, but can the quarterback feed the ball? I don't know. I think that, there's just always a dark cloud around the Jets, and I wonder if Justin Fields is going to be able to do anything to alleviate all that pressure. I don't know. I don't think he deserves the contract that he has. I don't think he is starting material, and he has a lot of challenges ahead of him for this year as well. I will say him being removed from the starting job in Pittsburgh last year was questionable. I think they always knew that Russell Wilson was the guy they wanted to go with, despite how it appeared to everybody on the outside, because he did start off really well for the Steelers. I won't discredit that, but it's also the Steelers. You have a coach that's been there for decades at this point who knows how to run a team and can make anybody look good. So I don't know. I have a lot of questions about Justin Fields. I think he's the most intriguing option because, it could be his career at this point.
I feel bad for Justin Fields, and I'm glad you went first on this topic because I'm a little biased being a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. So I did not want to see Justin Fields walk out of the door because I felt like if there was a coach that could help his career, it was Mike Tomlin. And I understood why he wanted to go to the Jets. I understood that the decision to go with Russell Wilson maybe pissed him off. I mean, it was just one of those like, oh, but I'm 4-1. The game we lost wasn't really my fault. I marched us down the field against Dallas, scored a touchdown. We're known for defense. Our defense didn't hold up. We let Dak Prescott walk down the field and throw a last-minute touchdown. I didn't get a chance to get back on the field to maybe put us in a field goal range or win the game. It was in the game. So it's a tough spot. I just feel like, for Justin Fields, it's just kind of it's an unfair, but also we're seeing the ugly side of the business of the NFL, right? Because I think he had such a bad situation in Chicago with just the numerous offensive coordinators he had to deal with, not enough stability. The head coach dumpster fire that was Chicago until Ben Johnson came, right? We'll see what he does. And then coming to Pittsburgh, just another bad situation. You have 2 technically starting quarterbacks on your roster, but you've already named Russell Wilson the starting quarterback. Russell Wilson gets hurt in training camp. So you tried out Justin Fields for 5 weeks. He shows, hey, I do have some promise. I can make some throws. I do have some athleticism. I can move if you need me to. I am sincerely rooting for Justin Fields to do well, but I just don't have hope for him because it's the Jets, and it's just like you said, it's just like if he doesn't do good, I think he becomes a career backup, and I don't know if his ego will allow him to become a backup because he's always thought of himself as a starting quarterback. But I just think situations, you don't get to choose your situation, you have to make the most of it. It's really going to be a telltale. But also for him, it just hasn't helped him that he's had the fumbling issue in his career. He has been slow to kind of read the defenses
Right.
and stuff like that. So he has that going on with him as well. So it's a tough space to be. But I think you know, like I said, I think both of these guys are kind of like at the point in their careers where it's like do or die. And if they don't step up to the table and do well, then they could be looking at a situation where their career backups are even out of the league in the next couple of years. So my take on that. Let's talk a little defense. I think these two players, man, Quinnen Williams is my guy. Let me break it down. I think Quinnen Williams has always been a guy that you looked at as good for the Jets defense, but I think now he has to be a superstar. He has to be. He's been kind of there, but in order for this Jets team to kind of really go to the places it wants to go, they're going to have to. It goes as Quinnen Williams goes on the defensive line. He is a disruptor. He is athletic. But he went missing for a good stretch of last season, and it really cost the Jets defensively, to be bad. I mean, which was shocking because when you looked at the Jets defense, you're like, oh, they're loaded, but it just didn't gel for some reason. They went out, made trades. They looked good on paper. The name sounded great. You have a good stout defensive back room. So you thought, oh, okay, this team can at least have a good defense, but they didn't near the end of the stretch. So I'm looking at him saying that this has to be a bounce back year for him. He has to take that next step forward. I actually was looking at his stats from last year. He had 25 solo tackles, assisted tackles 12. He had 6 sacks. He had 4.5 tackles for losses. So he's going to need to jump in production, at least double that this year for this team to be successful. And that's just because for me, I just feel like, he just has to, because if not, I think that the Jets could, again, be in trouble defensively early, especially because they play some teams that are going to be explosive. And, if you're not able to get to the quarterback, you can't win in this league. So I think for him, he really needs to take that next step forward and become a leader on this defense.
Yeah, I like everything that you said. I don't have much to add. I do think the 6 sacks is something like a base that he can build on. I think there were signs last year that showed he knows how to play in different schemes that the opponents throw out there, and he can get to the quarterback. So I'll definitely be interested to see if that can be built upon.
For sure.
But moving to my person, I'm going with my dude Storm Duck, and some background
first
on
off,
this
before you
man.
go, that is a great
about...
name. Great name.
Now, spoiler, I do know Storm is not his real first name, but I first learned about him because I saw an Instagram video of the top 10 craziest college football names from 2 years ago. And so then I followed him on Instagram because I thought his name was cool. And then fast forward to the draft, he is an undrafted player, but he could potentially be the number 1 cornerback in Miami this year. We have Artie Burns and Cater Kohu, who will be out for the year due to different injuries, which really depleted our cornerback room. He got some time last year, and I don't have the stats in front of me, but he stepped up and made plays, and got tackles, deflected targets away from him when he was on the field, which I think is key. He will probably play on the left side, but the Dolphins will have a new guy probably on the right in Kendall Sheffield. I don't think there's something about Cam Smith. The Dolphins drafted him in the 2nd round of 2023, and he just really hasn't seen the field. So I don't know what the issue is there. He also doesn't really get the chance to prove himself in games. Maybe he just isn't good and they wasted a pick. Who knows? But I think, I can't see Mike Hilton, who's coming over from Cincinnati, or Jason Marshall Jr., who we drafted this past year, or even Jack Jones, who we signed, jumping over the production of Storm Duck and becoming the number 1 cornerback. He's probably known for his name, but not his skill set. If you had to act competitive and win games, they need some corners. So I think it starts with somebody who could be viewed as the leader in the secondary, and if he can't get it together, for especially being an undrafted dude, that's crazy.
No, I think so too. And I actually pulled up his stats from last year. So in 2024, he played 14 games. He played over 300 snaps. He gave you 24 solo tackles, 11 assisted, no interceptions, but he did have a couple of pass breakups, deflections. He had 4 of those. He had a 5 tackles for losses last year. So he can play the run a little bit. It looks like he's a solid defender in terms of passer. I think, you know what? I actually think that he's in a good situation to take a next step forward and maybe start being a little bit more aggressive, because when you bring in a Mike Hilton, that is your guy that can handle the run. When you bring in a guy like Minkah Fitzpatrick, he can be aggressive in the box for you, but he can also show they can play coverage if you actually give him something to do and not line him off 10, 15, 20 yards off the ball, Pittsburgh. But I think it allows him to be more free because he knows he has those security blankets at safety that can kind of help him, and that can kind of take a lot off his plate in terms of what his responsibilities are. So sometimes what we've seen in players like this is when you simplify his workload and you have to only worry about, I have to just cover my man, or I just need to worry about this. You know, they seem to be a star in his role. And I think he has the opportunity to be a star in his role. What does that look like? I think that looks like, him being able to cover the whatever side of the field he's on. I think that looks like him not giving up too many touchdowns. And I think that's him, maybe having a couple interceptions to his name, because now he's allowed to see the field a little bit more than maybe what he was used, what he had to before with a player like Minkah and a veteran like Hilton coming over to the team. The Bengals. So I think he has a chance to do something really big. I think he has a chance to mean a lot to this defense coming up. And again, great name.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're going to move on to, okay. So
I was just going to say that was a lot of good insight, so go ahead.
No, for sure. We're going to move over to the basement, basically who we think is going to be last in this division. For me, it's going to be the New England Patriots. I know, look, hey, I just said Drake May is my top quarterback. Well, Dave, what do you mean? Like, how can somebody be the best player in the team? I have to go off of the number one thing, for me, and I think it is, I don't know what Drake May will be yet. I don't know what this team will look like. And there are a lot of question marks with New England. I think that you got to show me the money. I want them to be good. I want them to do well, but I have to see it. I'm not ready yet. And it's very close, mind you. I know the Jets are right there, but it is very close between the Jets and the New England. I think it's like 2 game or 1 game difference. I really do. But I just think that New England has a lot of question marks. I think that obviously, you're predicated on depth. I don't think they have enough depth in certain areas. That worries me on defense. And I think that I just have to see it from Drake May. I'm talking him up to be that. I think if he can be top 10, top 12 good in the league, this team can win 10 games. But I think if he's a pedestrian quarterback, he can be a 7-8 win game guy. So that's not what they want. But I think it's New England this year for the AFCs.
Mm-hmm. I think that the Patriots have more going for them to be successful than the Jets do. We've talked about that in this episode already, but I don't really have a lot of faith in the offensive coordinator for New York. I hope he comes out and proves me wrong, but I think it's doing a disservice to hire somebody who has no NFL play calling experience. I don't think that this is a profession where you can just go, yeah, we're going to give you your shot. Try it out. Like, that is not how the NFL works.
It's the Jets, though.
I know. But I'd be saying the same. I would be saying it if it was any other team. I swear. It's just puzzling to me. Like, you